I want everyone to calm down, man. Everybody who's seen my previous video talking about the whole camera control button and that being the pain point when it comes to iPhone 16 Pro Max cases, I want all of you guys to just calm down and let's do a little follow-up video because that video did exactly the main purpose that I wanted to do was to reach brands, get the comments going with people talking about what they feel was the best way to go about the camera control buttons. And that led to me actually speaking to about 3 and 4 different brands today, talking a little bit about what their plans are, what was their inspiration on doing the design that they did ahead of time, and also what is the plan going forward once we get the iPhone 16 Pro Maxes in hand. So let's go ahead and get into it. And the first thing, like I said, man, I want everyone out there to please calm down. A lot of you guys were just jumping to conclusions, overreacting, and I was just simply giving my opinion on what I felt like was going to be the best solution to the actual camera control button. Now, here is what I basically gathered when it comes to talking to these brands today about what the game plan is and their inspiration behind why they did each design like they did. Now, I know I'm not going to tell you what the brands are. I'm not going to tell you who are doing revisions, who aren't doing revisions, because you guys will go emailing and DMing them like crazy, worrying them, and we don't even got none of the phones in hand. So the first thing I want everybody to do is calm down. If you have a favorite case, I do think you should still go out there and order it, and let's just all wait until we get the 16 Pro and the Pro Max in hand before we start judging a lot of these cases on the functionality of that camera control button. All right, now, first thing first, let's go ahead and talk about where this whole design process starts when it comes to cases. These companies do not get the iPhone. They may get dummy models that may get, they may get schematics on how big the actual camera control button is, but none of them are going to get a device that has an actual working camera control. They're not going to do it. The only people that you going to that's going to get it and who are potentially going to do it right is going to be Apple because of course they are in-house. But even at that, I mean, can we fully trust the company who came out with something like the Firewolfen case? I'm just being real. That case was absolutely trash. But in my opinion, I do think Apple probably got it right when it comes to camera control button. But that's something that we'll have to see before we, but when we get the iPhone 16 Pro Maxes in hand. But I want to tell you guys that these companies don't get the phones. So they are going off strict speculation. It's same thing for an example, like the action button. Now, although I don't think this mimics what happened with the action button is a little bit easier because that's just a button. No other functionality is in that button. But when you're talking about a camera control button that has capacitive touch characteristics, there are certain things, certain parameters, certain things that you have to get into that button and able to perform the way that the iPhone and Apple want it to perform. So they don't get these things. It's all a crapshoot. Some companies said they didn't hear anything until almost 2 weeks before the iPhone was actually announced. So you got to know a lot of you guys don't know what the brands go through. They don't know their process. They don't know how long this goes into building and designing these cases, especially when there's a drastic change into the actual design of the phone. It throws a monkey wrench in all plans when we are talking about designing cases. So a lot of these companies, there's no winning. You guys will either complain if the companies aren't ready for day one with having their cases available. And on the other side, you're going to also complain when they have the cases available and they are not up to your standard. There is no winning when it comes to these cases and the average person going out there and buying them. There is just no middle ground to be able to please everyone. So, of course, people are going to put out their cases that they feel is the best guesstimate to what it's going to look like, and then you make your revisions after you get the iPhone 16 Pro Max in hand. And with that being said, a lot of companies aren't going to go out there and just risk their entire stock being with a button that they may know might not work. All right, let's just be real. So when it comes to Subcase, I know they have a few cases with the button, but I also think they have a few cases with the cutout. Same thing like Spigen, guys. You got to look and pay attention to what these brands are doing. When you look at Spigen, they only have a case that has that button with just a few cases. If they were confident in what they were doing, I think this is once again my thought process in speaking to these brands today. You think they will put that button across the whole entire case lineup. I got to figure it out, man. Slap that button in there. It's going to work from day one. I feel like all companies are a little bit reluctant to do that because they just simply don't know. So, hey, let's throw it on this one case right here, see it how it performs. And if it does good, perfect. We have a complete working solution of a button that we know works, and we can now update the rest of our cases with that button. Or let's just throw all of these cases in there with this revision on this phone, but we don't know if it's going to quite work. Oops, it didn't work. Now we have to throw all of this stock away because that revision don't work. So you have to actually think about it from a brand's perspective and smart business decisions that, hey, let's just trickle it out in the market. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't, then we're screwed. All right. That's something you got to think about. Now, we know the iPhone 16 Pro Max is probably the embargo should be released, I think, by the time you watch this video, if not tomorrow when this video is dropped. But by now we know what that action button, well, the camera control button looks like, and you can kind of get it in your mind how you feel like it's going to look. And then you only have one day until we get the iPhones in hand. And then all of that speculation will be cleared up. Now, are case companies going to be doing revisions? I know that's going to be the number one question that is going to be asked in the comment section down below. And the answer is absolutely. Out of the 3 case companies that I did talk to, 2 absolutely said, yo, T, we are going to be doing revisions. We'll figure out what that looks like when it gets there. And then the other one said, you know what? I don't think we're doing them. This is what it is. We're going to make that button as refined, that cutout as refined as possible. And then we'll see how people like it. And hey, we'll deal with it when the iPhone 17 comes out. I've heard that today with my own ears. So you just don't know what these companies are doing. All right. Subcase, if that works perfectly, this button works good, then cool. They figured it out. They got it right. They can easily go and manufacture these cases. But a case company like this, like Mouse, who has the huge cutout, you might have to go back to the drawing board and do a little bit of redesigning if that button is the route that you want to go. Now, I did hear from one case company in particular to say, yo, T, it's going to be the turnaround to when you get those revisions are going to probably vary, because if you take a case like Mouse, and once again, this is not set in stone, this is just us speculating what could potentially happen, because a lot of these case companies use the same designer. Let's be real, a lot of them use the same people to cut their cases that other companies do. You may not know that, but a lot of these they all in the same pool swimming around. All right. A case like this that has such a huge cutout, this may take a little bit longer to fix, because then you have to do the closed frame on the case, and then you have the factor for the button. Whether something like a sub case, if this button wasn't here and it was just that cutout, it's a little bit easier just to pop a button in here and make it do what it do, as long as it has all of the capacitive button characteristics. So I feel like that may also play a factor of how soon these cases get updated, depending on what design they have and how it basically is going to perform when we get that button up here. But the thing about it is, I feel like everybody still needs to remain patient, because I saw so many people jumping out there and say, oh, T, you know what, forget it. This is going to be the year I rock the Apple silicone case all year. Okay, although I love the silicone case, I have a love-hate relationship for this case, and this submarine color is oh so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Apple cases still aren't the best. All right. These cases that you're turning down because it has those cutouts probably are going to last 10 times longer than, especially when it comes to durability of the Apple silicone case. And that's not to sit here and push these brands. I'm not pushing no brands when it comes to these videos. I'm just stating facts. These other cases outlast these Apple cases all day long. So for everybody who wants to rush out there and get it, all right, cool. But don't complain if you drop your phone in this case, which is almost considered damn near a minimal case. Don't complain if your phone drops, but you sacrifice that just because you didn't want to cut out that could potentially be fixed in a later revision. So I think, once again, that's something where people should just calm down and just let us figure it out. Well, not us. I'm not the brands. Let the brands figure it out when the iPhone 16 Plus rolls around, what Pro Max rolls around. I'm pretty sure they are going to do what's best. So I wanted to do this video, man, just to kind of give you a little bit of different perspective on what's going on, a point of view coming directly from the brand's mouths. Had phone calls, had IG messages back and forth, had voice memos going back and forth, Twitter DMs talking about these companies, because they was like, yo, T, we saw your video. The team blew it up. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me tell you, here's our thought process on what we did for these cases when they first came out. All right. So I feel like we don't have long until the new iPhone 16 Pro Maxes are in hand. And then we'll be able to see the real deal on how these cases perform. And we're going to see if this actually cutout is going to be better. We're going to see if the actual, this cutout is going to be, doable, or does companies with the actual capacitive button already built in, did they get it correct the first time? And then they should just be quick to implement that in the rest of their cases. That is something that we're going to very soon see coming up very soon when it comes getting the iPhone 16 Pro Maxes in hand. So for those watching this video, man, let me know your points about this. I'm pretty sure some of you still going to get in here and be like, oh, T, but the designs are still lazy. And I talk to certain companies, man, and they're getting kind of upset that people are calling them lazy because they spent hours trying to figure out the best possible way. I've heard one company said, yo, T, we had a cutout. We have legit 15, 20 revisions of that case, trying to fine tune that cutout to be as comfortable as possible. Just in case we may not be able to make a revision, at least the cutout that they have is very doable. So I think some companies, yes, they did spend a bunch of time on this, trying to perfect it the right way, but some companies absolutely, I felt like did the lazy route just a little bit with just making a big giant cutout and just slapping it on there and calling it a day. All right. But once again, I'm not in the lab. I'm not that type of engineer that's drawing up these cases. I'm not the design person that's drawing up these cases. I'm just a regular dude on YouTube who talks about these accessories that has a point of view that hopefully we can get going in the accessory community to bring us some dope cases, man. That's all. I'm not doing these videos for clicks and no, this is real conversation that we have to have because some of these cases are damn near 70, 80, some even $100. So I want to make sure you guys are going out there to get your money's worth when we're talking about these cases. So get the comments going. Let me know your opinions on this video. What do you feel brands are going to be looking for? They all know I'm making a follow-up video, so they will be looking at this video. A lot of good brands that you guys love out there. Actually, a lot. I spoke to the big dogs, so they're going to be looking at this, man. Voice your opinion down below. Let me know how you feel about it. If there was a revision that was done to the cases, how would you want them to handle it when it's released out to the general public? But if you're watching this video for the first time and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you can go follow it up and kind of get a better understanding of watching that video right here.